Good evening, everybody who has already joined us. We are going to get started as people join, then they will catch on, and whoever watches on YouTube will get the whole thing. Welcome to our March staff meeting, and we are going to get started. I have a lot to cover, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask throughout, or you can always message me the questions or in the chat box, and we will try to catch them as we go along. So, while we were waiting, some people wrote in the comments, what is the favorite thing about spring? Stephanie said favorite thing is closer to summer. We have Miss Ruby said favorite thing is nicer weather. Cassidy said ice cream and walks on the beach. Jennifer said that you can go swimming here. Yes, I love that. Miss Barbie said more daylight after work and more sunlight, said Miss Molly. So thank you for those. And Morgan said daylight. To see daylight. I love it. So make sure you sign in the comment box. If you sign in there, then you get entered into the raffle. The attendees, the participants list disappears when I log off, but the chat box stays, and that's where I get the raffle names from. So please make sure you sign in there. Our super staff member of the month of February. She has done exceptionally well, and we want to highlight her, Miss Cassidy. Through an even tone and caring attitude, she sets expectations alongside her teaching partner for her graduating preschoolers. She ensures each child feels cared for and supported. She thoughtfully guides those students towards success and professionally addresses families each day. Miss Cassidy does go above and beyond to reach out and speak and communicate with her families and make sure that those children have exactly what they need getting ready for kindergarten. So we appreciate her very much. Congratulations to Miss Cassidy. And then we have Miss Brenda. We want to congratulate her for Super Staff Member of the month of February. Tremendously ambitious and not afraid to get her hands dirty working with her graduating preschoolers and co-teacher. She exhibits thoughtfulness for each student's well-being, thorough in her documentation, sometimes overly thorough, but I greatly appreciate it. And she ensures she is challenging all students so they can thrive in kindergarten. So bravo to both wonderful educators, and your certificates and your $100 will be in your mailboxes tomorrow. So thank you very much. We have our newsletter that was created by Miss Amy. I love the little layout. It's awesome. She highlighted early literacy, the upcoming events. Ms. Ruby also puts all the upcoming events on the whiteboard in the hallway. One thing to note is that our picture day, our picture week, has been changed to April 7th week. So just nix that in your brains and move April 7th. That week is when we will do picture week. Please make sure that the parents are also giving permission on the sheets outside your classrooms, because some parents are uncomfortable with light touch as of recent times. So we want to make sure that only those who are signed up get photographed. So if they don't sign up, their kid doesn't get a picture. So I will keep sending out notifications on ProCare, but when you see a parent, just make sure, hey, just make sure you signed up on for life touch photos. Otherwise, your child won't be photographed. We have NC Pre-K and 3 school applications for One Place have opened up, and applications are currently being accepted. So please make sure you encourage those families who have a child who turns 4 by August 31st. They would be eligible to join NC Pre-K. And again, we have 2 sites at Sneads Ferry. We have 1 site at Holly Ridge. We are nicely full at Sneads Ferry, and we just have 1 little spot at Holly Ridge. So we're doing very well with those programs. 3 school, if you do not know, is much more difficult to get into and accepted. It is solely income-based, and the income level is not as high as NC Pre-K. So it is difficult to get into. But again, if they can apply for 3 school too. So if they turn 3 by August 31st, they can apply for 3 school, which is in room 7 in the main building. We did our Spirit Week. I did see some very awesome costumes, and I hope that you shared those photos with families, because they just love to see all those things when they're home or at work, and it brightens their day. We want to welcome Miss Chelsea, who is currently working as a co-teacher. She's still in orientation and training, but Miss Chelsea has come back to us. She used to work with us in the older toddlers classroom, and now she's working in room 1 with our infants. So we want to welcome Miss Chelsea. We try to do, and I I'm very bad at remembering, but the caught you being awesome. And I want to give you the opportunity to catch each other being awesome because it doesn't mean as much coming from us as it does coming from coworkers who greatly appreciate each other's going above and beyond. Those individuals who come, they dive in, they support you. Hey, how can I help? Or maybe they are able to provide you with some insight and some guidance on classroom management, behavior management, some paperwork that you've never experienced before, and they take the time to teach you how to complete it correctly. Those individuals, we want to make sure that they're highlighted because we don't see all of that. I see what I see when I walk down the hallway, when I see those screens in the office, and what I hear. And that means I miss a lot. So if you are able to catch someone being awesome, ask for a slip. We'll give you one, and we have treats in the back office that can be attached to it. And it's going to mean a lot more coming from you than it does coming from me. And display them. If you get a caught you being awesome, put it up in your classroom. I like to see them posted. All right. Hello. Okay. Reminders. Before Monday, we always make sure those lesson plans are posted. I appreciate Miss Amy and Miss Ruby making those announcements. They should be emailed to the SFQCC at Outlook.com or HRQCC at Outlook.com email addresses, or you print them yourself and post them before Monday morning. Please make sure they are signed off. So an administrator should have initialed it to make sure that all the NC foundational standards are on there. It is the current week's dates, and that the activities are thoughtfully placed on there. And the activities are we can understand them if we were to jump into your classroom as a sub. So I come in and I look at your lesson plan, and if it says Play-Doh, what would you like to accomplish with the Play-Doh? Are we working on rolling balls with Play-Doh? Are we working on sculpting animals with Play-Doh? Just add that little extra portion to the description, and it helps people who are coming to sub for you, but also it helps you remember what's the learning goal. It obviously is different when you're working with infants and toddlers and twos versus the preschool age, but we want to make sure that there is a goal in mind. And when you're working with infants and toddlers, there are specific goals for each child. You're writing the initials along the left side, and you're grouping them to developmentally appropriate activities within the lesson plan. I've seen some great improvement with lesson plans. And I think when we had our PD day, you guys excelled, and you were able to take in a lot more, and now you're applying it to your lesson planning. But I do ask that you ensure those details are on there so we know what you're talking about. Thank you. So we got whiteboards. Make sure they're always up to date, especially when Miss Pam is walking around at 9:30 and well, she wants to make sure that those numbers are correct, so we don't call on the radio, can I have 1 or 3 extra plates to room such and such. Now, I have asked Miss Pam to just make one more sweep around. I don't know if it's around 9:45 she does it, or at 10 for one final count, but 9:30 should be the time. Everyone's in except for my children, and then we can do our counts and get them into Miss Pam, and she can make those plates with the right numbers, the right milks, and everyone is copacetic. When you are over ratio, and everyone seems to be very good at this, but I want to remind you that you don't holla down the hallway. And if an administrator can hear you on the walkie say admin to room such and such, then they'll come hustling over. You tell them how many you're over, they make the adjustments. It should be a quick and seamless process as long as we are able to use those walkie-talkies to call for admin. Admin should always have a walkie-talkie attached to them somewhere. That way they can respond quickly to your needs. Supply lists, make sure they are into Brittany by Wednesday. They go in a plastic bag above the mailboxes. It's very fancy. I always say how fancy it is, but that's where it goes. If you put it in her mailbox, she may not see it because that's also where the meal program sheets go and all the incident and non-injury reports. So all the bite reports, they all go in there because she documents that in the log. So to ensure that your supply list is received, goes in the plastic bag. If anything needs to be ordered, Brittany gives me the list, or she takes a picture for me and I order those items. If you notice things are not coming to your room, please let me know, because the supply list that I've gotten pictures of or that I have gotten physically to hold, I have either told you I can't order it, it's ordered, or we have it in stock. So just please reach out to me. You can message me and let me know what you're still missing. Sometimes I order things and it does not get delivered from Amazon. Or I order things, they come into the office and someone else says, hey, I'd love this item. So just let me know and then we can resolve the issue. Reimbursements, please don't go on a shopping spree. Always ask first, and then we will say, yes, you'll be reimbursed, or no, I'm so sorry, it's not in the budget. Then that's on yourself if you'd like to purchase it. But keep in mind, anything that comes into the building then is Sneed's Ferry quality or Holly Ridge quality property. So don't bring things that are personal items to you that you want to take back with you. If it breaks from a child, if it gets lost, if something happens to that item, I cannot replace it for you. So just make it as if you're thinking it's a donation item. I suggest don't bring any of your own personal items. Tell me we probably have it somewhere or we bought it for another class and then they can share it with you. So just please keep that in mind. I don't want anyone's personal belongings and things getting ruined. The kitchen, I think everyone's pretty good about this. You go in, you wash your hands if you're going to touch anything in the kitchen. So if you're going to go open a fridge, you have to wash your hands first. However, if you're going straight to the laundry room and storage area, you don't have to wash your hands first. Just don't touch anything in the kitchen space and then get on out of there. So those are things to keep in mind for sanitation purposes. And if you are a flex teacher or you're filling in, you're covering breaks, go in and get in it. Dive in, get your hands dirty. I don't want to see people standing there in the corner and then you decide to chit chat for during a coverage. You're going to go, you're going to sit near some kids, you're going to get in, you're going to ask some questions, you're going to go sit in blocks and you're going to start building with them. And that way you are doing meaningful work instead of just sitting there and watching kids. We want to make sure every moment is used meaningfully throughout the day. Outdoor trash. Take that out ASAP when you are on the way out, when you are cleaning up for the end of the day. Some teachers have the ability to take their outdoor trash and put it in their indoor trash, and then they take it out when they go on their lunch break. But just every day it must be done because it's getting overfilled or it's getting damp, gross, and it's starting to be stinky. So we want to make sure that those trash bags are fresh bags every morning. The bins are big, so they can be full, filling up all day. But at the end of the day, the closing crew or that teacher who's in that classroom, they're going to take the one bag and you can even put in a new bag for the next day. We just want to make sure that they're cleaned out and they're taken out more often than they are, because in the end, if that cover is up a little bit, the wind comes and you see cups everywhere, you see napkins, tissues, and wipes everywhere along the playgrounds. So yes, Jennifer asked, I assume that means we wash before getting student ice. Is that just when Miss Pam is cooking or all day? Good question. So if you were to go get ice, I would say, that's a good question. I'm gonna defer to Pam and then I'm gonna give you an answer tomorrow because that one freezer is really just ice. So good question. It doesn't really have much food contact. I will answer that tomorrow. Classroom trash, take it out at rest, please. So what we've been noticing is obviously your trash bin, your bags get full, you put them right outside the classroom because you're going to take it out at rest time when you go on your lunch break. I appreciate that. When that doesn't happen and then you wait till the end of the day, now you have many trash bags, an overabundance, and you probably stored them in your bathroom to keep it safe and it just gets in the way, stinky, maybe it's leaking. We don't want any of that. So as soon as you can, the first person to go to lunch is going to bring the trash bag out to the dumpster. And at the end of the day, we ask for the first teacher who's leaving. So whether it's the co-teacher or the lead teacher, you go take that trash out that's just sitting there from lunch, or maybe it was forgotten. Because we understand some teachers go to lunch at 10 and then next one's 11, and really the trash wasn't ready to go out till 12. But we don't want it waiting for the closing crew at 5:36 p.m. and there's just a hallway of trash bags, or there's bathrooms full of trash bags waiting to go out. And that's not fair to those few who are actually closing down the building. Please try to contribute as much as you can before you go home. If you are a 3 o'clock all the way to those 5 o'clock friends, I want to make sure that you are contributing, because the ones who are closing, they got a lot to do. They have a whole closing checklist. clock in after all personal.
Janet,
Oh, sorry.
Shannon, can they also take out the diaper trash at lunchtime?
Yes, that's a great idea. Diaper and pull-up trash. Please bring it to the dumpster at lunchtime because you might have some poopy ones and then it's just stinking up your classroom. So if you take that out with you at lunch breaks along with your lunch trash, then you come back to a refreshed room and with no stinky garbage. So thank you. Yes. We've been noticing that there's a lot of pull-up trash or diaper trash that is left until the next morning because it's forgotten about. So I'm going to go into the checklist later on, but that's something we want you to be mindful of. When you are clocking in after all personal tasks are complete. So you drive up, you park your car, you get out your two wild beasts out and you go clock, check them in, you bring them to your classrooms, and then you are going to go potty, you're going to go do whatever other personal items you need to do, and then and you drive your car to the other lot and you park, and then you clock in. So we want to make sure that everyone understands when you're on the clock, you've clocked in, you could go right into a classroom. So if you can't physically go right into a classroom right after you clocked in, you shouldn't have clocked in. Make sure that all personal tasks have been complete before you clock in. Everybody should be aware of that. If you find that you're running late and, oh man, it took me 5 minutes to do all those things or 10 minutes, then you kind of have to push your schedule up a little bit, set that alarm clock a little earlier. I mean, look who's talking, but you're all better than me. And come in and make sure that you clock in after all personal tasks are done. I think I've said it enough. Okay. Transitions. Have a sense of urgency, please. So if someone's covering your lunch break and you're in the middle of a diaper change, I can appreciate those moments and you have to finish the diaper change. But if you're writing down on, say, the meal program sheet, just hand it over and where you left off. And those simple transitions are handed to your co-teacher and they know exactly where everything was left off. Because a minute here, 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, then lunches are backed up significantly. So making sure that you have a sense of urgency when those transitions occur are very important. Another time of transition that seems to take its time has been when people are going to clean rooms or being asked to do something for the closing period. There are maybe so many minutes so that there's free time. You can go close a room or you can go doing this, stock up your classroom at the end of the day. And there has to be a sense of urgency because if there isn't, that time is wasted. It is just bing, bang, boom, right in a row towards the end of the day. And while admin, whoever's running the floor, has assumed that that task has been complete, it may not have been complete because there was no sense of urgency in the task itself. So please just make sure you're mindful of the time, that other people are going home, that we need to get these things done in order for our building to run smoothly.
Shannon, I'm sorry. You mentioned before about dirty diapers being left in the pail from the night before. I think that there are times when that might be happening when it's a parent who's picking up their child and finds that they're dirty and they change a diaper, of course, not knowing that the room has been cleaned already.
That's true. So maybe if they clean the room, we can put something on top of the diaper changing table. I have to think of a solution. So parents are not inclined to use the diaper changing table because then that's gross, right? You walk into a dirty diaper changing table and you got a dirty diaper in the pail.
Correct. And reality is that it could be somebody like a 3-year-old that doesn't have a changing table, but they're throwing away the dirty diaper.
Right.
So it does get a little tricky in that respect because it's very possible that it's happening, but it's a parent that's doing it. Obviously, the easiest solution is to make sure that the kids aren't dirty when parents pick them up, but I'm assuming we're already doing that.
Yes, let's hope we're already doing that and they just happen to poop right before mom or dad came to pick up. So we'll have to figure something out. I do have a solution at the end when I go over the closing checklist and we'll see if that works. So professional attire. It is getting warmer out and I mean, in the building, you're probably freezing, and when you go outside, you're sweating. So many layers. I ask that you wear many layers so you can put on things, take them off, appropriate clothing. What I mean by appropriate clothing are that we want to dress as professionals. We are early childhood educators. I'm not asking you to wear a pantsuit. I'm not asking you to go crazy in a dress, but I am asking that you are dressed so you get the respect as a professional educator that you deserve. When people dress a certain way, they don't get as much respect. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world. And I want you to be all treated as if you are educational professionals because you are. So when you wear short shorts, spaghetti straps, things that are very revealing, it tends to take away from that professionalism that we're aiming for. So all the parts get covered. Some of us have, larger parts than others. So making sure that when you bend over, it all doesn't just come out. And making sure that your shorts, I use the fingertip method. I have very short arms, but 5 inches is the golden rule of the shorts. We want to make sure that they are not booty shorts. They are not short shorts. They are appropriate shorts for being a teacher. You are bending over all day. You're running. You're playing with kids. You're sitting crisscross applesauce. Everything should be in a way that nothing gets revealed unintentionally. Tank tops need to be 1 inch or thicker. Please no spaghetti straps. That just means your bra is going to show or something else is going to be exposed. So we want to make sure 1 inch straps and then shoes that are comfortable to run in. I understand some of us. Sorry, go ahead.
What?
Oh, you were talking, so I thought you were talking.
No,
So
so
shoes are comfortable that are comfortable to run in, and some of you can run in flip-flops. I cannot. So I urge you to consider what is safe for your feet because stubbing a toe, falling over, tripping on something when you're wearing flip-flops is not fun. And we want to make sure that all of our students are wearing closed-toed shoes, and that way they don't have those painful experiences with their toesies. If you have questions about professional attire, please ask me. Is this good? Does this fly? Is that okay? Then you know. If you didn't know, now you know, right? So that's why we're having this conversation. But you will be asked to clock out, go get appropriate attire on, and then come back. So that stinks. Parking. Please save the front row spots for student drop off and pickup only. We do say this all the time. I want to make sure that our families, including yourselves, if you are a parent at our school, that you can drop your itty bitties off because you parked close to the building and then you go back in your car and you drive to work. So you driving to work could just be 5 feet the other way and park across if you really want to do that. But you're going to Cancun to park, most likely. And when you do that, that way we can free up those front spots for the families who are also coming to drop off their itty bitties in a safe way. So make sure that we also clock in after we drop off our children. We don't clock in while we're dropping off our children because obviously that task takes more than right away when you should be freed up to be able to go into a classroom space or whatever you're needed to do. Requesting time off. So Miss Stephanie handles our schedule and she does look at your request offs, and I just wanted to make sure that all of these were covered. We need 2 weeks notice for it to be approved. And then if it's within the 2 weeks, it may not be approved and it might be filled up. And I understand things come up and you can't avoid them. And I understand that. But if you expect something to be approved, if you want to be able to use PTO, if it's before or after a holiday or a closing, those you will not get that because it is not approved. We want to make sure we give you approved time off. Check that calendar. Stephanie printed it. She is crossing days off that are unavailable. If it's got one line through it, then it's almost not available. Like you got one spot left to claim. So just keep that in mind. Check the calendar before you schedule appointments and you will avoid many issues. If the slips are in the drawer, so you have one for empty slips, you have one for filled out slips, and then Stephanie gets the slips once a week or twice a week, and she puts it into the fancy calendar on the computer that Ruby made. If it's approved, great, golden, your time. You can use PTO, enjoy your time off. If you wanted to be sick 4 weeks from now, I don't care because you got it approved. You planned ahead. Not approved, it affects your closing pay. So if we were closed the day or before or after a closing, it affects that. And you cannot use your PTO. So we really ask and urge you to make sure it's over 2 weeks notice. Work to find shift coverage. That's an added bonus. That would be so lovely if you ask somebody if they would switch shifts with you, especially if it's just for a few hours that you needed to go do something and you plan on coming to work after, but you have to leave early in the afternoon. Will somebody go and switch the shift with you so that we are not suffering on either end of the day? So that's a request to see if you're able to do that. That's fantastic, but we understand it's kind of hard to ask people who you're not aware of what shifts they work. Summer positions. So we are working on who's working which positions for the summertime. We have some ideas of where people are going to go and what they're going to teach. But if you wanted a change of environment, now's the time to message Ruby, Joyce, myself that, hey, I would like to do this. And then we will consider that position because it's a good time to try something new. It's just the summer. It's more lax than it is the school year. So if you want to try something new, that's your time to do it. Classroom management to
Shannon, I just want to add to that we are looking to hire a couple of permanent people. So if anybody knows of anybody that, especially people who have clearance and who have been in childcare before, now's a really good time for them to give us a call.
Yeah, Ruby's interviewing. And I think we might hire 2 positions, maybe 3. Ms. Sam at Holly Ridge had given her notice and she wants for health reasons. So we want to make sure that we find a position who is going to be able to work in that classroom over in Holly Ridge. So that's another option to go to Holly Ridge and see. We have some options out there for you. So we know those teacher ABC charts. I hope that you're using them, what teacher A is doing, and then teacher B and C know exactly what the expectation is at that time, so they're not just twiddling their thumbs. When you are seeing something positive in the classroom, highlight it. Say it out loud. Everybody applauds that child because we want the other children to know what is expected. And if it's being modeled in that moment, that's the perfect time to do it. I love how you're standing nice and tall. Your hands are at your side and you're waiting patiently. You gave your friend in front of you space. Your body is away from their body. Way to go. I know you're ready to go outside, whatever you want to say. But you're highlighting that child. They feel proud of themselves. And then you slowly see everybody else down the line mimicking their behavior because they want that positive praise as well. Avoiding injuries, making sure that you guide children with their back with your flat hand. You're guiding them. If you grab their hand and then they drop to the ground, you're risking dislocation, you're risking a nurse's elbow, many injuries. So if a child drops to the ground, you can let them down as gradually as you can and then let them be there as long as that emotional state takes for them to come down from. In a high emotional state, you're not going to be able to get through to them. You're not going to be able to support them until they have become regulated. So it takes a while, especially those who don't know how to do it on their own. And that's why we have those teachable moments throughout the day where when they're in a good mood and they're interactive with you and they're engaged, you're actually teaching about those moments that could possibly occur. When I get really mad and frustrated because you took my block, what am I going to do? What would you tell me to do to help my body get calm? And then there they are. They're teaching you, and it's during free choice play. You're in the center with them with a real world scenario, and you're teaching them in the moment so that maybe you can prevent that future incident where they become dysregulated and highly emotional. And it takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot for them to be able to do that. But being able to teach a peer or the teacher, that's a step in the right direction. If you have your buttons have been pushed, you are way up here, you can't take it anymore, call for admin support. That is why we are there. That's why the radios are there. You can say admin support to room blank and we will come. I do not want anyone to feel like they do not have a way out. You have a way out. You need a minute? Go take a breather. Everybody has their way of decompressing. Maybe you just need the admin to come and work with the other children so you can build that positive relationship with the other child. Tell us what's needed when we show up. However, when a child is dysregulated and they're on your last nerve, what I see happen is I show up and I say, how can I help? And the teacher just lets out all the negative and the kid can hear it. That is setting us up for failure. When I ask, what have you tried? Then you can start telling me all the positive ways that you tried to get them back and regulated. But going into, he just threw this, he got angry, he hit a bunch of friends and this, that, and the other thing, he's going to, or she's going to hear that and they're going to take it and run with it. It will just continue. We want to go in and focus on what did you do to support them? What were the things we sat together? I offered cozy, whatever the case may be. And then we take over, or you want to work with them still, and we take over the whole class. You just have to give us direction, and then we'll kind of reevaluate later on of what the next steps are or what we can do next time to best support that child. Sometimes we need to have parent-teacher conference very soon. So those are the things we need to discuss after the fact.
Can I, sorry, jump in really quick because going back to adequate handling of children, outside of negative or challenging behavior, I've noticed that some of you guys are playing with the children in a way that is going to cause dislocation of the wrist, the elbow, or the shoulder, especially in our younger classroom spaces. We really need to move away from supporting the children while holding them from their upper limbs when they still do not have the lower body strength to sustain themselves completely. Whether it's intentional or not, if you're holding a child from their wrist, you have 3 points of dislocation that are going to happen at any given time, because all it takes is a small twist and those sockets are going to pop out. So if you're playing with a child, you really need to make sure that you're holding them underneath their arms, so rib cage area to pick them up or to hold them, not their wrist, elbow, or upper arms or lower arm, whatever the case. We cannot be lifting children from that point. It's going to cause an injury. So just keeping that in mind. My husband actually dislocated my daughter's shoulder while she was playing with him with that little jumping thing what the toddlers like to do. It was an accident, but it caused a dislocation. So you really need to be mindful. If you're not picking up a child fully from underneath their arms, you shouldn't be grabbing them from their arms at all.
Yeah, if you're not in a good position either, because I know sometimes you're trying to prevent them from doing something that's dangerous and we try to grab them. But if you don't have a good position, in the end, you may injure them instead of trying to support them and help them. So being mindful is very difficult. I understand infants, toddlers, twos, they're fast, number one, even the infants, and you want to be able to protect them. But in the end, we also have to make sure we're in a good position to pick them up from under their arms. Grabbing them from a shoulder or one arm, it could cause big injuries. Tips and tricks for classroom management. If you turn your back, something's happening. So you always need to make sure your body is facing the class. Get creative. You're helping kids wash hands, but you're also surveying the classroom, talking to the kids, singing. Maybe you're asking them questions, but making sure that your body is facing the group. Outside, and I cannot stress this enough, we are not standing next to each other by the building and chit-chatting. It's horrific. Don't do that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. I want to see stations. I want to see you separated. I want to see you playing with kids, because if you are aware of the surroundings, you are going to catch incidents before they occur. The moment you get distracted by a co-teacher, someone across the fence, that's when something's going to happen. And I know, if someone wants your attention, You can even just talk to each other across the playground and have a conversation if you need to. But stationing each other, someone standing on the top of the playground structure so you can survey everything underneath, that's great supervision. Playing with the children, even better supervision. I understand sometimes we're exhausting at the end of the day. So making sure you're stationed and you're engaging with students, you don't have to be running around, but those are the types of ways we're going to prevent incidents from happening. And you'll see two itty bitties who might have gone at it together, you're going to catch it before they even get the opportunity. All right. Now, sometimes they just want to be heard. And I want to go over that for a quick second, because if they wanted something or they feel they were wronged, they just need to let you know that sometimes. So just getting on their level and what happened. Why are you mad? Why are you frustrated? A lot of them can tell you what happened. And then we can get to the bottom of it. If we don't get to the bottom of it, we can't help for future incidents. So giving them that time to regulate their emotions, calm breathing, breathe with them if you'd like. I'm here when you're ready, and then you can kind of step away with giving them a side eye watch to make sure they're okay and everyone around them's okay. And you just reassure them, I'm here when you're ready to talk to me. I can talk to you when you stop crying. I can understand you when you stop crying. So when you're all done crying, you can come tell me and I will help you, because they're so frustrated, they're crying, they're screaming. Once they have eventually calmed their body, why did you get upset? What happened? Sometimes they tell you right away, oh, so-and-so wouldn't let me play this. Okay, let's work on a solution together now. What can you do next time? If someone doesn't want to play with you, that's okay. What can we do instead? And that's how you have those teachable moments. But if you don't take that time and you don't get down on their level after they're regulated, don't get in their face when they're upset, they might whack you. Then we're going to go ahead and have a teachable moment. And you can learn a lot from each kid. What really grinds their gears? And you'll figure it out and be able to help them. And maybe you can stop it before it occurs next time. You got to mean what you say and say what you mean. And I'm going to go over that in a few minutes. So let's keep going. Okay. So I found 3 videos about classroom management, and these are guiding children's behavior. It is from Connecticut, but good teaching, still good teaching. I put the link at the bottom. When you go to this link, I'm going to show you very quickly what it looks like. Okay. And it's guiding children's behavior, responding to behavior problems, and resolving conflicts. These are all very short video clips, and they give you examples. They explain it out to you of how you can adopt these methods into your classroom teaching. They do work best for ages 2 and up. This is really the age groups that we want to focus on when it happens, because these are the times that redirecting behavior or working with a child's behavior is more appropriate than when they're itty bitty toddlers, infants. We're kind of just moving them out of the situation. And then we can also, the biting, we do have to say we don't bite, our teeth are for eating. But other situations when they're 2 and up, that's when they're learning what appropriate behavior looks like and what inappropriate behavior looks like. So they have to be able to tell the difference and what can they do instead. So this is great. It has those quick videos for you. I find them extremely helpful. And then there's other resources on the side. So I'm going to show you this one video. This is provide options of what to do instead. And then I'm going to show you a couple more.
Redirection is based on the idea.
Hold on, too low. Okay.
That sometimes children behave inappropriately because they simply don't know there are alternatives. In redirection, you don't make a big deal out of the inappropriate behavior. Instead, you show the child there is an alternative that is more appropriate. The majority of inappropriate behavior can be handled this way. So, for example, a child might grab a toy car out of the hands of another child. You could redirect the child by showing the child where to find another toy car.
Well, redirection is a guidance strategy. It's a strategy to engage a child in a different, more acceptable behavior than the one they're already engaged in. Want to teach them the actual acceptable behaviors instead of the behavior they're engaged in. You want to help them to get to make more acceptable choices. To use it as another choice or another option for children to choose. They choose this or that, or here's another option for you to choose. You know, you redirect them toward a more acceptable behavior. You do this in a way that is actually a teaching strategy rather than a punishing strategy or just a distraction strategy. You don't want to just stop the unacceptable behavior. Punishment or distraction usually would just end what is not a very acceptable thing to have going on, but it wouldn't teach the child what to do instead.
Let's think about what redirection might look like. The child in this picture has just snatched a toy from a friend. The caregiver redirects the child by saying, "You don't need to take Samantha's Lego. There's another Lego to use right here." In this picture, the child is swinging a set of headphones around and around by its cord. The caregiver redirects the child by saying, "Cedric, that's not how you use the headphones. Let me show you. You put them on your ears and listen to the story." Now we want you to think about how you might use redirection in two possible scenarios.
Activity 5A, redirection. Read the scenarios for children displaying inappropriate behavior. Think of one or two ways that you might use redirection. Example 1. A child is throwing blocks. Example 2. A child is tearing pages of books.
Okay, so I wanted to just do, we'll do a child is throwing blocks. So if you want to write in the comment section or the chat box, one or two ways that you might use redirection. So again, you're redirecting them from the action that's occurring. The kid's throwing blocks. How are you going to redirect them to something that is appropriate behavior? If you can brainstorm some ideas, if you'd like to share, I'll give you like 15 seconds to think of something because we'll move on. I think everyone has a good idea of how to redirect this child throwing blocks, which happens more often than we think. Miss Jennifer said, "What can we build? I'm going to build a farm or a house." So she gets in there and she has an idea of what they can build. She generates that idea and then she's asking them, what can they build? So right there, she's providing the purpose of blocks and she's giving an example of what can be built. And just start building with them and they're going to join in. Surprisingly, that's as simple as it is sometimes. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on to the next video. So this one is firm reminders and choice giving. Similar to the redirecting component, but we also need those firm reminders. I'm going to go over this in just a second after we watch the little video.
A third option for dealing with this behavior is to use firm reminders and choice giving, particularly when you need to keep children safe or when children have been repeatedly reminded of the rules without success. There are two parts to this process. First, use a firm tone to remind the child of the appropriate rule. Second, you provide the child with a choice for performing a more appropriate behavior. A teacher might say, "You'll either need to stop throwing materials or come out of the science area. It's your choice." If the child does not stop this behavior, the teacher can follow up with, "You're still throwing materials, so you made a choice to come out of the science area." A firm reminder and choice giving should be used very sparingly. That makes it more effective when the children hear you use it. Children will learn that when you use a firm voice, what you are saying is particularly important and serious. Of course, when we say firm voice, we aren't saying an angry or loud voice, but simply firm. Here are some examples of times when you might consider using firm reminders and choice giving. In this picture, Anthony has just hit another child, Cedric. This is the third time he's been in a conflict that day. The teacher would say firmly to Anthony, "You can't hit. You need to either play nicely with others on the slide or play somewhere else. It's your choice." In this picture, Stephen is bothering peers during a story. The teacher has spoken to him twice already about this. She says firmly, "Stephen, you'll need to sit and listen to the story without bothering people, or you'll need to go find something else to do. It's your choice." In these examples, the teacher is firm, but gives children a choice, so they have a chance to get their own behavior under control.
Okay. So going into firm reminders, we call it big voice. It's not yelling. You don't sound angry. It's just like you're describing the clothing on your body. My shirt is black. My shorts are orange. We use walking feet. So you're stating the expectation. You've stated it so many times. Now you kind of have to lay down the law. We use walking feet or you will hold my hand. So either they're going to use walking feet or they're going to hold your hand to be safe. And adding that why to be safe is essential too, because you want to make sure they understand, why do I got to use walking feet? Or why do I have to hold your hand? Some kids really need that backup, the why. So we got one more for modeling. This one I see all the time. You guys do a fantastic job with modeling, but keep in mind, it can happen throughout the entire day. So here's a short video about modeling, and then we'll talk about it after.
We have discussed ways teachers can respond to inappropriate behavior. However, the most effective strategy is to guide children toward positive behavior before they break rules. One of the best ways to do this is by providing them with a model of how we want them to behave. If you want children to be kind, you model kindness. If you want them to express their feelings, you model this for them. Children will benefit from your modeling in any area of learning and development. Let's visit some preschool classrooms to see how teachers use different activities to model turn-taking and other positive behaviors.
Preschool teacher Marie Langston guides children's behavior by modeling turn-taking during a cooking activity.
Okay, now what should we do? Well, I'm gonna take 10 stirs, and then everybody else will get 10 stirs. Count. Hey, Hannah, it's your turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You counted so fast, I know. Do you want to try?
This math game gives preschool teacher Brenda Hieronymus an opportunity to model turn-taking.
I'm going again. All right, I got 6 again. 7, 8. I added those two together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm behind you. Looking at each other. Are you looking back at me?
The teacher is also modeling smiling, warmth, enthusiasm, humor, and mathematical thinking.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got to the post to the mailbox where Peter mailed the letter. Okay. All right, my turn. Now let's see, how am I going to figure out how many dots are on these two? How am I going to add those together? What should I do? Count them all? Well, how many are on there? So I'll start with that. 6, 7, 8, 9.
Modeling.
Skip.
What are some specific social skills you are working on right now with the children? How could you use modeling as a strategy for teaching children skills?
So the social skills that you're working on in your classroom, perhaps you're teaching students what to do when you feel frustrated, teaching students what to do when you feel impatient because they just don't feel like waiting. How can they help themselves in that moment? And to teach this, you have so many opportunities throughout each day. So having a day of focusing on one feeling word, one feeling face, and you're going to go throughout the day You're going to model those instances when you might feel impatient because you don't like waiting to wash your hands, because you don't like waiting for your lunch to come. And how can you help yourself as a student get through those emotions, and what positive choices can you provide to them that will help them persevere through those emotions? So different scenarios such as that can happen throughout the day. You can do it in small group. You can do it one-on-one with those lovely individuals who may need more reinforcement about what it looks like. In the modeling, you can have a partner, a peer who is excellent at exhibiting this one behavior, who is able to control their body and their emotions when they do become frustrated. And they're going to work with the student who has more difficulty. And then they're partners with you. So you can mix and match. You can do it in whole group. When you do it in whole group, it doesn't get through as effectively as if you're working in small group or one-on-one. So just keep those moments in mind. You're going to join these children in the centers they choose or outside, where these scenarios will become real life issues for them. And you're going to use scenarios that you have seen them encounter maybe the day before, maybe earlier that day, that you can now work with them. Remember when this happened? Yeah, I remember. Okay. How would you help me if I felt frustrated when they wouldn't let me go into the castle house on the playground? How could I help myself? Or what would you tell me to do? And then they can go ahead and teach you and you can model it. If they have difficulty, then you're going to walk them through step by step. Okay. So these are the websites that I put there for you. Very similar in the situations. The layout that I had from what I just showed you. So those links are all active links, and I definitely encourage you to go and explore and see, okay, I'm having a tough time with this type of scenario in my classroom. Here's some instructional videos, some real life examples, and then I can go ahead and work on this in my classroom with my co-teacher. So I definitely encourage you to use the PowerPoint when I send it out, go to this page and use these links. So we'll go more into this next month, but we are going to get ready for the ASQs for the end of the year. So come May, I am going to ask you to do one final ASQ for the end of the school year. If you have a graduating preschool class, you are also going to do the kindergarten readiness assessments. So every age, every child will have an ASQ completed in May. But to prepare for that, I want you to start thinking about what should they be doing? What should they be exhibiting in the classroom? And to know that, there is a link that gives you easterseals.com right there. So you can go click it and you type in a birth date of a child in your classroom, and it will give you what developmental milestones are expected at that age. So if you're unaware, should they all be doing this? Or is this kid's super awesome at this skill? Not everyone should be accomplishing this skill right now. But what should they be doing? What developmentally is appropriate for this age? So that's what I'd like you to do and get ready for come May. We're going to start doing ASQs. Now, if you start ASQs early, I ask that you don't start them earlier than April 20th, because if you do it now, they could grow as a learner and just demonstrate all of these things with over the next month and a half. So don't start them earlier than April 20th, please. ABC charts for their behavior, anecdotal notes, those are all fantastic things to have in their portfolios so that if there ever is a concern for the child who might need services, or maybe they do need services and we got to prove all that data, get the parents on board. That's why ABC charts are so important, to be able to find what that trigger is. What's that initial reaction? What's the initial cause that causes their reaction? So ABC, antecedent behavior, consequence. Remember, consequences aren't what you did to punish the child. It's just, what did we do after their behavior? Did we approach them and talk to them? Were they in that state that we could do that? Did you have to offer them the cozy corner, a seat, or did you move children away from them to keep the other children and them safe? What did you do after the action? And ABC charts are a lot easier to write than non-injury reports, which are one full page. ABC charts are quick documentation so that we are able to track and support that child. So we'll go over this in April. You don't need it yet. Engaging with students. I just don't want to see lumps on a log. Please don't sit on furniture. Don't sit far away in the corner of the classroom or on the playground. You are engaging with students. You are making sure that every moment of that day is spent with meaningful instruction. And that doesn't mean you're just, doing, I think elementary school, we see like the board and we're teaching and all that. That's great. If your children are ready for that in preschool, great. But I'm talking about engaging in play in the free choice centers with your students on a goal they have, a developmental goal that they have. You can just do it through play, and that's the best part about early childhood education. Sunscreen waivers should be completed by parents. I've seen many reminders by the teachers, so I greatly appreciate that. If you notice that a parent has not filled it out yet and you've spoken with them and they don't want our sunscreen, I try to keep it that we use our sunscreen as much as possible, because you definitely don't want 10 different sunscreens in your emergency bag and you got to get each one out for all those different kids. That is crazy sauce. But if a child has a reaction to the products in our sunscreen, or their parent is concerned about reactions, then yes, they will fill out a blank form and then they will provide a brand new bottle. It can't be used and it can't be expired, of the sunscreen of their choice, and it'll be stored in the emergency bag. We have to make sure that everything is up to date and those slips are kept in a Ziploc baggie to keep them safe. And you have the names on the bottles, who can use each bottle. Okay. Meal program reminders. I just want to show everybody, because sometimes we've noticed that they are not being completed correctly. You have to complete them at point of service. So we can't complete the breakfast checks at lunchtime. Breakfast was over. So please make sure as soon as your children are fed or while they're being fed, you are marking accordingly. When you look at this form, thanking Miss Amy for giving me a model example. In orange, you will see that is where the attendance is marked. You're going to put an X if they're in attendance. If they're in attendance, you have offered them the meal of breakfast in blue. So you're going to X breakfast. If they are not on the meal program and they provide their own food, we still offered them the meal. So you're going to X. Okay. And then if they're there for lunch, you offered them lunch. They get an X. If they're there for PM snack, then you offered them PM snack. Put an X. I want you to notice that AT is for attendance, B is for breakfast, A is for AM snack. We don't do AM snack. L is for lunch, and P is for PM snack. Ignore the S and the E. S is for supper and E is for evening snack. We are not there that late, so don't even look at them. When you are all done making and marks your X for the day, or at the end of the week, I think you should do it at the end of the day, mark your totals, right? Write your totals. And then at the end of the week, you are signing and dating it. And then Brittany gets it. Okay. If a child is ill, it is great to message the parents. We've noticed, we have observed. You can even write they have a 99-degree fever, but we don't have to send them home yet. However, admin is the only one who makes the decision to send a child home. So please don't instruct a parent to come pick their kid up. If they say, should I pick them up? Just call us down and we will help make that decision, and we will reach out to the parent, because we don't want them to come back and say, well, they were sent home and admin had no knowledge of it. So making sure that you may make observations. I encourage you to do that. Please do. So-and-so's not acting like themselves. They're pretty lethargic. Just wanted to give you a heads up. Or ask, did they have a good night's sleep? And then if the concerns get greater, you include admin, and then we can make a decision if the child needs to go home or not. The end of the day, we want to make sure all those heinies are checked every half hour starting at 4:30, because those kids love to poop in the afternoon. And if they're walking away with poopy butts with mommy, daddy, grandma, grandpa, that's horrible. We don't want poopy butts going home. Sometimes we don't even realize it, but that check every half hour, like a little sniff, a squish in the butt, whatever your method is, It's going to ensure that that child doesn't go home with a soiled diaper. If you need coverage to be able to change a diaper, that's where you're radioing for admin. And when we can get that coverage or something for you to be able to change a dirty diaper, because we want to make sure these children are well cared for going home. You should have wipes in your emergency bag. You are wiping faces. You are making sure everyone is sparkly clean by the time they go home. We have lots of runny noses right now. One big pet peeve of mine is I should not see breakfast or lunch on a child at 4:30 p.m. going home. They should have had their faces washed or wiped before that time, especially when they lay down for rest. They should not have breakfast on their face, and lunch should have just been cleaned off their face. I understand we have some food that might get on the clothing. I am a parent who doesn't care about that, but there are parents who may have a preference where their child's outfit is changed, and you can ask them that, or they can tell you that, and that's fine, and the child gets changed. But for the most part, we're worried about the face, and we're worried about the butts. So if those two things are tackled and they're made sure that they are clean and sparkly going home, fantastic. So thank you very much for those of you who already do it. The parents just imagine that this is their state all day. So we don't want that. We want parents to rest assured that we take great care of their children and we are ensuring that they are going home fresh. Okay. We ask that you check those trash cans at the end of the day. This was my solution, so please voice your concerns or your questions. You can message me, but my idea is at the end of the day, and I'm not a closer, so please tell me no way that's not possible. But whoever's in that closing crew gets the checklist and they go room by room and make sure that those main components are taken care of. Diaper trash, regular trash. Those are the big things. We don't want stinky, stinky trash when we walk in the morning. And then the other components are taken care of, that checklist in every room has been initialed. So if you have one closer who goes around and that's their job for the evening or for the week or whatever it may be, or maybe they're the permanent center checker, they're going room by room. And then someone is the playground checker. I don't know how much time is available between that 5:30 to 6 o'clock mark where who's free. I have no idea. But that is one idea that I had because obviously there are teachers coming in where there's diaper trash left, but it could be so overwhelming at the end of the day that it just gets missed in that one day. So we will talk more about how to make sure that this is taken care of, that our opening crew is able to do their job and our closing crew is able to do their job because both are stressful positions to be first or last. And we want to make sure everything runs smoothly on either end. Playgrounds should be cleaned up, organized by the children, because there's always some school leaders and preschoolers left over. They can clean up the last playground. They can put the toys away. They can make sure that the trash is off the ground. And that way everything is hunky-dory for the next day. This is the closing checklist if you are not familiar with it. The green indicates what's specific for infants, toddlers, and twos because they have diaper changing tables. For every classroom are the top section portions. It's sectioned off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's meant to have your initials on it. So if you are closing that room, I recommend you initial. And that way we know it's done, you know it's done, and that closing the checker, they go around and they see that you have acknowledged the fact that those things have been completed. They should be in a plastic sleeve, so a dry erase marker with your initials would suffice. These are the trainings that need to get done. These are live links. So if Miss Ruby said, hey, you need to do your NC Feld, here's a link to NC Feld. She also provides other links and other resources for you to use. So this is just one option for that. For teach.
I'm sorry. I'm also sending out individualized emails with the links and what's required so that if you have concerns about forms of payment, we can discuss those privately. That does not get shared with anyone. But please respond to the email. Don't just see it and then ignore me because I am tracking how many times I talk to you guys about it too.
Should just be one time. So yes, and please make sure you speak with Ms. Ruby about those trainings. She is the training guru. And again, with Teach, Ms. Ruby is our Teach guru. It is not yet time for applications, but keep that in the back of your mind. If you're planning on going to school, if you want to go to school, the Teach application comes first then the application to college. So we have to make sure that you get accepted into teach so the process runs smoothly when you apply to college. Because if you do it backwards or too close together, we wind up having to foot the bill, and we can't do that all the time. So then you'll be stuck not going to school, and that would stink.
NFL Roundup. Cardinals officially release quarterback Kyler Murray. Favorites emerge to land Raiders Max Crosby.
Whoever. Okay, we have an open door policy. We want to encourage everyone to message us, come to us. If you have a small problem, a small concern, please come to us because we can help work towards a solution, help you resolve it before it becomes something big. We don't want to let it fester and grow, and then you don't even know why you were upset in the first place. So, like Joy says, if we don't know about an issue, we cannot help you resolve it. We can't support you through it. So please make sure you do come to an administrator you feel comfortable speaking to, or message us, and we will help with that. If you have questions or concerns, you can always message me about whatever we just discussed in our meeting today, and I will post everything after when it comes up on the group chat. Miss Ruby, Miss Joyce, do you have anything to share? Miss Amy, Miss Barbie?
Yes, when it comes to concerns, no matter how small you feel that it is, or if it's a bigger issue, just to make sure that you, as the administrative team, is being kept honest. I will be documenting your concerns. You can let me know in that moment whether you want it to be anonymous or not. But in order for us to be able to better support our staff, without things getting lost. That way I can share the concern with all the administrative team and we can come up with a solution, versus sometimes things have been shared with one administrator. They try to come up with a solution that if they had shared with someone else, we could have found an even better solution, or we could have all been on the same page. So I think a lot of the times, we've lacked documentation. So going forward, anytime that you do bring something to concern, we want to track that so that you can also say, like, hey, I mentioned this to you this day, and we're protecting both sides. And there's accountability on both sides as well.
Thank you. All right. I will see everyone tomorrow. Have a lovely evening. Good night.